Baseball is a sport full of mistakes, and having had it around for so long, probably more than every other major sport. Armando Galarraga's blown no-hitter, Steve Bartman's heroic moment for the Florida Marlins, and the creation of the Baltimore Orioles all come to mind.
Wilkerson back. I don't know. Goodbye home run.
Even today, the league is still making mistakes, with things like the absence of extended netting, leading to severe fan injuries, the backing of several controversial umpires, and especially the tone-deaf proposal to have the Rays play in two different countries.
How stupid are you? You're just stacking stupidity on top of stupidity. That idea is dumber than the one you got now.
But that's to be expected. Humans make mistakes constantly, and it's irrational to think that an organization filled with many of them won't have a few blunders here and there. There is, however, one historic blunder that still has yet to be resolved. Something so sad and so terrible that it seriously put a damper on the sport as a whole for me. That blunder is Pete Rose. Just like baseball, Pete Rose has made mistakes as well. Mistakes he's admitted to and has accepted. Today we're going to analyze both sides to the Pete Rose situation. I'm going to discuss Rose's beginnings, his career, the Big Red Machine, his defining moments for better or worse, and the league's responses to them. This video may be considered controversial. Other baseball fans probably have different opinions on the Rose situation than myself, and that's completely fine. But I'd like to first establish that I do think Pete Rose basically being blacklisted from the entire sport is really bad. Oh, and one other thing. Get the trigger alarm ready. Everybody is entitled to an opinion. Rose began his professional career right out of high school and got his chance to join the Major League Club in 1963. He got the nickname Charlie Hustle in spring training that year for sprinting to first on a walk. Rose capped off his first season in the Bigs with the Rookie of the Year award, kickstarting his Major League career. Pete really turned it into another gear in the late 60s and early 70s. He led baseball in batting average, hits, and on-base percentage in 1968, and led in batting average and runs scored in 69. The turning point of the decade also proved to be a turning point for the Reds, as they went on to dominate a lot of the 1970s with their Big Red Machine. Led by what is referred to by fans as the Great Eight, the Reds took the league by storm for most of the 70s. In 1970, Rose again led the league in hits, and his club made it to their second World Series since 1941, but lost to the Orioles. It actually sounds funny saying lost to the Orioles. I guess that was only something teams did before my time. Even though the Reds lost and had a disappointing follow-up season, that was the beginning for them. They made it back to the World Series in 72, with Rose leading the league in hits again. You see the trend here? But losing again. Almost identically to the year before, Rose led in hits again in 1973 with a career-high 230 of them, but this time he won an MVP award to go with it. Even with the best hitter in baseball at the time, the Reds lost in the NLCS to the Mets, and you guys actually thought you'd get through an entire video without hearing me say that word.
I can't even believe it! They stink so bad you can't even make it up!
That series gave us the infamous Pete Rose-Buddy Harrelson brawl. Pete slid into Buddy Harrelson on a ground ball trying to break up a double play. Buddy went Super Saiyan, and all hell broke loose. Fans were throwing things at Pete on the field. Shea Stadium had erupted into chaos, and the Reds had to clear the field until the situation calmed down. The Reds made it back to the World Series in 1975, won their third title with Rose winning World Series MVP, and they did it again the year afterward, establishing themselves as one of the most dominant teams to ever take a field. And yeah, Rose led in a lot of categories both those years as well. He also won the Roberto Clemente Award in '76 on top of that. Now with 2 World Series rings and a whole showcase worth of awards, Rose had a couple of more 200-hit seasons to finish out the 70s. At age 37 in 1978, Pete Rose joined the 3,000-hit club, one of the last great moments to finish out the decade. The beginning of the end for Mr. Hustle. Rose left Cincinnati for the biggest contract in sports at the time to play in Philly. His career went pretty downhill after that. To be fair, there aren't many 38-year-olds who sign a big contract and maintain their level of play, so I guess it was to be expected. Rose broke the 4,000 hit club in 1984, and then broke Ty Cobb's all-time hit record the next year. At that point, it seemed nobody could take baseball royalty away from him, but as you all know, the story is not over. Pete became a player manager for the Reds in 1984, did that for a couple of years, and then retired in '86, and stayed as manager. He had some issues on the field, including a 30-day suspension for pushing an umpire, but that did not compare to the consequences of his off-the-field actions. Reports of Pete Rose betting on the Reds arose in the late 1980s. Rose denied all allegations and said that he would never admit to something that hadn't happened. Now, I'm not going to get too in-depth with the court side of things, the negotiations, the law aspect of it all, because I feel that's probably well enough known, given it's the entire reason this situation is well known. Pete accepted a spot on the baseball ineligibility list, and his place in baseball history would never be the same from that point on. A 17-time All-Star, 3-time batting title, 2 Gold Gloves, Silver Slugger, Rookie of the Year, and MVP award winner was just banned from the sport he spent his entire life becoming the best at. Rose applied for reinstatement several times, with several different commissioners rejecting him outright. His most recent attempt came in 2015 with Commissioner Rob Manfred. Manfred believed he continued to make contradictory statements to the famous Dowd Report and didn't believe he deserved to be reinstated. Rose's final win came in 2016 when the Reds, with permission from Commissioner Rob Manfred, had inducted Pete into their Hall of Fame. Rose may still be banned from baseball's Hall of Fame, but at least he will be forever enshrined in the city that mattered to him most. So that's Pete Rose's story, minus a few things here and there. So now, let's get into some opinionated analysis regarding both sides. Was MLB right to ban Rose from the league? Yes. He broke a clear rule that fit the punishment. Now, I'm not going to say that the rule is justified. That's not what I'm commenting on. I'm simply saying the disciplinary response to his actions was justified. Now, do I think there is an issue with the rule? Yes, and this is where my main argument comes from. It bugs me to see guys like Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, and Manny Ramirez on the Hall of Fame ballot when the greatest hitter in the history of baseball is banned from the sport because he bet on his own team to win. I find that incredibly contradictory. Of course, they're two different problems, but there is clearly one problem that's a worse offense than the other in my opinion. How can you put players on the ballot that cheated and made themselves better because of substances they took, and shun a player who became the all-time hits leader legitimately? Especially since the incident happened after he retired. Pete Rose hasn't made the greatest choices in his life, but his ability to play the game cannot be denied. A lot of those decisions were outright terrible. I don't want people to miss the point here. I'm not saying Pete did nothing wrong, and he shouldn't be held accountable for those decisions. I'm saying that he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because he did nothing wrong while he was on the field, and certainly did a lot more good for the game than PED users did. If a player is taking a PED, I don't see why they shouldn't be banned from the sport. That would prevent a lot of players from even thinking about it. Nowadays, you take one, you get a suspension, and then you come back, and that's it. Perfect example right here. Henry Mejia, former pitcher in the Mets organization, my least liked player in sports. Period. Henry took PEDs once, served a suspension, came back, did it again, another suspension, made another return, and he did it again for the 3rd time. He got a lifetime ban, and then he got reinstated. He's in the Red Sox organization at this moment, and how the heck is that allowed? Major League Baseball is basically saying it's okay to cheat and break their rules 3 times, and their lifetime ban means absolutely nothing. At this point, it's basically encouraging PED use. It's pretty mind-boggling, to be honest. Baseball gave Rose his punishment, he spent decades shunned from the sport that changed his life, and he served that punishment. He did his time, now let's let him get what he deserves. The athlete most deserving of fame not being in the Hall of Fame takes away a lot from the league in my eyes. And I genuinely believe it's going to happen after he dies. It seems like it goes down that way for a lot of famous icons. It seems like there are a lot of fans out there that still support Pete. In 1999, Pete was part of the all-century team that were introduced before the World Series game at Turner Field, and he got an incredible ovation from Braves fans. You almost would have thought he was Tiger Woods. In all honesty, I have no idea if Pete is a good person. I haven't a clue. Given how much bad has surrounded him off the field in his lifetime, there's a better chance that he isn't. But my argument remains the same. Based on his statistics alone, he should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. At the very least, he should be getting consideration before steroid users do. And I guess this encases a much larger debate surrounding Hall of Fame enrollment. I now direct you guys to the comment section. Let me know down below if you guys think that sports should have a more statistical approach to their Hall of Fame enrollment, or there should be other factors that go into those kinds of decisions. There will be a time when he passes, and his ban is lifted, and he eventually gets into the Hall of Fame. Honor the best hitter in baseball history by giving him his seat at the table. Until then, it's going to be an itch at the back of the minds of the baseball gods. The clock is ticking, Major League Baseball, and it's time to make your move. Anyways, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching one of our longest videos. We really appreciate you making it this far to the end. Comment down below what you think about Pete Rose's situation. Do you agree with my sentiment? Disagree? A little bit of both? Let us know down below. Like the video if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you all again for watching, and I will talk to you all later.
Better as far as what's more conducive to pitching, but I don't think this is an issue. But we saw it with Kershaw. They're going to go to the bullpen. What? Talk to me. What happened?
He's just leaning in while you're talking.
Oh, it's just not again.
Yeah, he's just doing his thing. call the shots, I run the bulls, I'm Michael Jordan. Hit it with a little bit of push and a little bit of pull when a goddamn mic recording. I bring the heat, I rep the East, I like the South. I don't even know what to do with the gold that I get. Bitch, I'm Michael Phelps. I'm like LeBron, I get the gold, I'm Sherry Khan. Yo, carry bronze, I'm Randy Moss, I'm Mary Khan. My game on Royce, I'm Barry Bonds. I got